Hey guys, today we got a 2004 Harley Davidson CVO Softail Deuce Screaming Eagle. Fuel injected, the classic pinhole and the fuel line issues. So I just wanted to show a little bit more detail than what I've found so far online of where the hole in the fuel line is and how to replace it, what parts you might need, and let's get into it. So I was getting 3 different codes for cylinders shutting down and misfires. I had P1353, P1356, and P1358. So what I did was, the console comes off with only 3 T20 torx bits, torx head screws. You can see 2 of them are right there, and there's one up top right here. So T20s, take those 3 off, and then I just hung it nicely with a zip tie from the handlebar. Disconnected the one plug that goes to the fuel pump, which is right here. And then the 10 T20 torx head screws that hold the fuel pump in, those came out nice and easy. And so I wish I showed the pump coming out, but I got ahead of myself before I could start the video. So the trick with the pump, to snake the pump out, is to stretch a screwdriver, like a long Phillips head or flathead screwdriver, down. And all you have to do is touch the pump with the screwdriver and just give it a gentle push down. Because when you do that, I wish I had a tripod today, but I don't. When you do that, the pump is able to extend down, and it was purposely made for this exact reason, to snake it out. When you do that, it goes just a tiny bit down, and then it lets the pump pivot. So if you push the pump down right on the gray plastic with a screwdriver, just push it down a little bit while it's still in the tank, it will let you pivot the whole assembly like this. See that? It's spring loaded, it's made to do this, just so you can snake it out of the tank. Once it is like this, it makes it in this long shape. And the pump is on the left side of the tank, the float is on the left side of the tank. And I just carefully, very gently, took a little bit, but I snuck it up out of the hole to see the entire assembly. And obviously you need to cut the fuel line. I should have mentioned that. The fuel line going to the regulator, you can see I cut it right there. So that is the same line that snakes down to the check valve on the bottom of the tank. So if I reach in here, you see there's my line. See how I cut it? So chop that end. That's the one that goes down to the bottom of the tank to the check valve right here. And before I did any of this, as you can tell, I siphoned all the gas out of the tank. So give me 1 sec, I'll get back on this. So hopefully when you started this job, you started with a nice cold bike, because you need to, the easiest way to make clearance is I took the rear cylinder spark plug wire off. And if you see, this collar pushes up, and the check valve's in here. This collar pushes up. This is a quick connect, and it just shoots this fuel line out, because this is a high pressure line. And then once you grab your 7/8 socket, you can put it on the bottom of the check valve and unscrew that line. Everybody says there's this classic pinhole in the fuel line that causes all these check engine lights, and it's true, because that fuel line, you know, cavitates and vibrates inside the tank on the top, the inside top of the tank, and it wears a hole in this fuel line. And I actually put paint on it to show you guys. This isn't the first time I'm taking it out. So if you look really closely, you'll see that hole right there. Right there. Don't worry about that yellow paint. See that hole? It's more like the size of a ballpoint pen. Right there, you can see it's plastic worn away in several different, 1, 2, 3, 4 different rungs. So that's that fuel line just jittering around on the top of the tank inside, just wearing that plastic away. And then you finally get a pinhole. Not really a pinhole, ballpoint pen hole, which causes the poor engine to take in a bunch of air and throw all these check engine lights and make it harder to start and misfire and all these type of things. So anyways, let's go to the bench and go a little farther. So I went a little overboard and bought every piece, not every piece, not the fuel pump or anything, but I bought a new fuel filter right here. Fuel filter kit. The kit comes with two new elephant ear clamps. Those are the special, like, German style stainless steel clamps. Comes with a new tube, this tube that goes right here, and it comes with one new O-ring that goes on the pump, one of these sides. Not that side. Actually, it is that side. So, and then I also bought a new regulator. This, I'll show you where that goes in a second. This is the regulator housing. And let's see, I bought the new screws to hold the top plate back down into the tank. As you can see on the screws, they have that little piece of plastic up there that's a flexible plastic that acts as a seal to help seal up that tank really well again. They're not expensive, so Harley says to replace them. Why not just replace them? And so I also bought a new gasket for the top plate, the mount plate. And obviously you might have a different gasket than I do, but there's my part number for mine. And the fuel filter kit and the regulator. I was told that there is regulator issues with some of the bikes, so you might as well just replace it while it's out. And there's the housing for the regulator. That was 17 bucks. The fuel filter kit was 90 for some reason. The regulator itself was 40. And the check valve assembly with hose, you know, with that quick connect, that was 55. There's your check valve part number. So what you can do is go over here. This is a spring clip. Just pry it up. This guy releases like this. And then you can take this little guy out. This guy slides off. And that gets you the fuel filter and the regulator. It gets it free. And so of course I have to cut this hose clamp off and separate the fuel filter from the regulator. The fuel filter is only in the regulator with pressure, so it just slides right out. There's that O-ring right there that comes with the new fuel filter kit right there. And so I'm gonna go ahead and put this back together. I'm gonna cut this clamp off right here so I can replace this hose, the fuel filter, the regulator, and I'll be back in a few. So as you guys can see, I replaced the fuel filter, remembered the new O-ring in between the regulator and the filter, got the new line on with my little new elephant ear clamps. Got a nice pair of Nipex for those. As you can see, you might want to grab these before the job if you want to do it easily. Got the other new Elfinier clamp. I think they call them Elfinier. I used to know the name. Done. This clamp is back down. So all I have to do now, and I took the new check valve, put the tiniest bit of anti-seize on it, and some silicone grease on the O-ring, and I'll thread this back into the tank. So I threaded the new check valve into the tank. You can go ahead and put the quick connect back on. You can see my new hose is waiting for me in the tank right here. I'm going to carefully, not while holding the camera, snake my whole assembly back into the tank. Sorry. Goes like this. Snake this whole assembly back into the tank, the pump on the left side and the float on the left side, and then when I go to put the plate on top of the tank, you'll just go like this. And it'll be nice and how it was. And obviously I got to reconnect my hose right here, the check valve, back to the hose on the regulator. The top connection. The bottom connection stays open, by the way. That's for a vent, obviously. Some kind of vent. It was open and disconnected when I took it out. So it's going to be disconnected again because nothing goes to it. This is the one you got to put your new check valve hose onto. And that's that. Hopefully that helps some of you guys as usual. And this has been another video brought to you by Midnight Mechanics. And this is my first motorcycle video posting to my channel. Hope you guys like it. Thanks again.